What's up, y'all? This is Daniel with Pride of the Southland Kennels. This is another episode of American Bulldog TV. I want to speak about a controversial topic today. And I felt like I have a pretty good visual representation of the topic. If I can get them to stay out from underneath my feet, we'll get into the topic. So a lot of people, or let me back up. I should say the coloring and the markings of the American Bulldog is a very controversial subject. Some people believe that the dogs need to be 75% white. Some people believe that there shouldn't be any black in them. And whatever, I've heard it all. So, like I said, I felt like I had a good visual representation of the topic today. As you can see here, matter of fact, those two dogs right there, the little brindle guy right here, and this white male, come here, along with his brother that's over there. Come here, puppy. This guy coming towards me right here. To go by people's theory on the American Bulldog must be a certain color, you would have to say that these two dogs, this one right here and this one right here, the little brindle one with the white blaze down his muzzle, those two dogs couldn't be registered as American Bulldogs. Well, this little guy right here could, but his brother that's bred the same exact way, y'all would say he can't because of color alone. It's just my opinion on this topic, on how I feel about it, but dogs were given their breed names due to the type of work they've done, not the color that they've done, or not the color that they are and that they produce. This little guy right here, when he grows up, if he's chosen to breed by someone else, and he's bred to another dog just like him that's white, and they produce something like this, a lot of people are going to say, well, something else was added in. But no, his offspring will be this dog's niece and nephew. So that'll be the uncle. And from everything that I've seen so far, which my experience is limited, you look at Teleco and Iris, and those are two predominantly, well, I don't know if I'd call them predominantly brindle, but they're 50-50 brindle and white, maybe a little more than 50%, because the whole bottom side, their legs, their tails, and the whites on their head. But anyways, they produce these dogs. I know where this white comes from. 3 generations back, well, 2 generations back, excuse me, their grandparents and great-grandparents, there was white dogs. So that's where that comes from. This brindle guy right here, I don't know where that comes from. I know that these dogs have brindle in them. The parents, Teleco, which is right there, I know that these dogs have brindle in them, but I haven't seen a dog with that much brindle on it. So this may be a throwback to a dog from several generations back, a dog that might have had more color than the dogs that I've seen. Or it could just be when I put the two dogs together that had brindle on them, they produced a dog with even more brindle on them. So I say all that because there's a double standard. And I am not speaking about Mr. Johnson. I respect every person's work in dogs, whether I agree with it or not. And there are some good Johnson dogs out there. I just tend to lean towards the standard. But Johnson produced that West Champs High Hopes dog, kept it because he said it was a throwback from several generations back. He hadn't seen a dog that looked that way for several generations. So if we can be okay with that, and I'm not comparing myself to Mr. Johnson at all. He put in a lot more years and work than I could ever imagine. But I'm talking about anybody. If he can say it's a throwback, maybe this little guy right here is a throwback, or maybe you know, a lot of the old timers, when times were different, if they were breeding 2 white dogs together and they got a dog that was a color that they didn't like, no one ever knew about it. But just because that dog was culled doesn't mean that somewhere down the line those colors can't pop back up. It's a little more rare when you get several generations back, 7, 8 generations, but I do believe it's possible for a gene to pop back up from 7 or 8 generations back. And it doesn't, I'm not talking about just color, I'm talking about anything, any type of gene. It's very hard, of course we can't see it with our eye, but it's very hard to breed something completely out. We'll never know if it's completely out unless you're some kind of geneticist, and I want to dedicate my life to other things than that. So I just kind of get my information from people that do study it and people that talk to people that study it to kind of get a better understanding. And I feel like I have a baseline knowledge of how biology works. No expert at all. But I'll go back to this. The main reason I don't care about the brindle dogs, where they're predominantly brindle, is because Mac the Masher, he was a foundation stud. He wasn't the only one. There were several others, but he was one of the main 3 or main 5. And they bred him to everything. Mac the Masher, brindle dog, whitehead, who knows what he was, but they did utilize him. So the American Bulldog, I kind of have a hard time understanding why people believe that the American Bulldog is an old breed. Yeah, the lineage of these dogs go back to several years ago, hundreds of years ago, but they weren't called American Bulldogs then. I've went through this before as well. These dogs that we see today are not the dogs that we read about. If you click on any kind of general American Bulldog article online, 9 times out of 10 you're going to get an article about the old white English or the old Southern white, and those dogs are not American Bulldogs. Some American Bulldogs can say they can trace their lineage directly back to that, but I'm not one of those that claims that. So you're reading about 2 different dogs. So what we're trying to do out here is reproduce that temperament of the white English that could be around the farm animals and protect the property and be around other types of animals, but we're just not concerned with the color of the dogs. Now, I don't have any of the reason I wanted to bring this topic up is because a lot of people, well, someone else on YouTube is talking about the black dogs again. I don't have any of the black hybrid dogs anymore. I bought 4 of them, 3 from Alan, 1 from Don, and they just didn't seem to fit the bill I was looking for. Very, very well structured dogs, some of the best put together dogs I've ever had the opportunity of owning, but they just didn't fit the bill. So that's why we've downsized. We're going the route that we're going, and I just find it hard to believe that the way some people think these 2 dogs right here would be able to be registered, and this dog wouldn't, that dog wouldn't, that dog wouldn't, probably none of the rest of the litter, just those 2. Now I understand not all dogs are going to meet all criteria of a standard, but where do you draw the line? People seem to be picking and choosing what they want to believe in. If you believe a certain way, you have to believe it through and through. You have to believe the good and you have to believe the bad. Don't just make it, don't just twist it to fit your narrative. And I don't try to do that. I could care less about the color and what people say. Now there's some colors that I don't, there ain't no color that I just don't want. I'm not going to breed and keep dogs just based off color. You know what I mean? There's certain things that I like to look for. I like a double masked dog. For reasons that I'm not going to go into. I like a dog with color on them. I don't mind the white dogs though. At the end of the day, the way I choose my pups from a breeding, from a litter, is how do they act. And of course, certain litters I'm looking for certain sex. Like this litter, I'm looking for females. If I was looking for males, I don't know which one I'd keep. I said that before, but I don't mean to ramble, but I just thought I had a good visual representation to kind of go along with this topic, and I wanted to let everyone see. Of course, you can see how these pups are just very friendly pups. But anyways, this is Daniel with Pride of the Southland Kennels. Until next time, thank y'all for watching.